to LisaTom.photos. Today I'm here to be able to talk about the new OM System OM1 Mark II camera. We're going to go through what actually comes in the box and go through some of those items that are in there. So it's a lot of fun when the UPS driver arrives and you get these boxes coming to your house. It's kind of like, oh, I got presents. So one of the things is the cable. So this is the USB charging cable. I'll talk a little bit more about that cable. The warranty card, the manual. What else is in the box? So we have the camera, of course. So the OM1 Mark II camera itself. I'll talk about that. We've also got some other accessories that have come in the box itself. So we have the battery. I know one of the big questions was when the camera was first announced is, was this battery the same as the OM1 battery? And indeed is. So there's no need to be able to purchase additional batteries. We have the AC adapter. So if you want to be able to charge your camera, the little flash unit. And we have the camera strap. So I'll talk about some of those components that are in there. One of the items is going to be the manual itself. And this manual has kind of a condensed version. So you can see there's multiple languages that are in there. You can download the full manual on the OM System website. I tend to be able to put that on my phone and my iPad. Tom has it on his phone. So then you can kind of search. It has a nice ability to kind of use your search feature to be able to look up a certain function that you have. But sometimes it is nice to be also able to have the actual printed manuals. So on the OM System website, you can actually order the manuals themselves. I tend to be a go-to person for the PDF. Tom tends to be a go-to person for these, but we leave them around and we're always looking at them and we can look them up in both ways. You can see this is the first camera that actually has a part 1 and a part 2 for us for this, but there are already little dog ears on here as we have gone through the manuals themselves. So you kind of have some options with regard to how you like to be able to decipher your information. The little flash that comes with the camera is kind of useful for one thing in particular that we use is for kind of a time-lapse photography. So I did a little project where we photographed a lily over a period of 5 days. So I actually set up this flash to be able to trigger my other off-camera flash. So I pointed this one at the other camera, triggered it, and we took a picture an hour for 5 days watching the lilies unfold and then the petals be able to fall off of that. We do use the FL700 flash as our main flash. It does come with a camera strap, and make sure you do secure that when you're putting that on. Tom and I use the Black Rapid straps. We really like that, especially for our bird photography. We'll also use the Peak Design straps kind of for our landscape camera as well. The AC, the USB cable and the AC adapter, this will allow you to be able to charge your camera. So you can actually plug this in and be able to charge this within a wall unit. You can also use this to be able to purchase an external like double battery charger. Again, because we're purchasing multiple cameras, we like to be able to charge 2 at a time. So we've also purchased the additional battery charger with our OM1s. So you can use this same charging for that. This cable, in addition, can be used to be able to connect to like the OM System workspace. So that's the free software that you should download. And that software will enable you to do things like firmware updates. It'll enable you to be able to save your settings. It'll enable you to be able to have multiple sets of settings if you want. So perhaps you, like us, want one of your cameras devoted to bird photography and one devoted to landscape and macro, or perhaps you want those 2 cameras to be exactly the same. If you want the 2 cameras to be exactly the same, you can actually connect this to the computer. You pick storage, you go into the OM System workspace, you go up to camera, and then you can actually save the settings from one camera, and then you can actually plug in the second camera and load those over so that you can have all of your buttons and all of your configurations be exactly the same. For people that, like us, we do a lot of bird photography, but a lot of other nature photography, star photography, macro photography, there might be certain trips where we want both cameras to be completely bird cameras. Then we can actually, again, using this cable in the OM System workspace, we can actually save and load so that both cameras are set up exactly identical for birds and have our custom features on the top, the C1, 2, 3, 4, as well as all of our buttons be dedicated, say, for bird photography, and have the two cameras be exactly the same. And then maybe we come home and we're going to spend a few weeks doing macro photography. We can again connect our camera to the computer, and now we can load our C1, 2, 3, 4 that more relate to macro and landscape photography. So that kind of gives you the ability to have, instead of 4 custom modes on the top, you can actually have 8 of those. You can also use the OI Share app, and you can actually load and save your settings to that camera and sync your two cameras up together through there. You can also update the firmware through that. So picking up the camera itself, like I mentioned, the battery is the same as the OM1 camera, so you don't have to worry about getting additional types of batteries. Your batteries will still work. We get a lot of battery life out of our batteries, and people ask that question. I find if I'm using the menu a lot, my battery life will go down, but if we're photographing eagles or short-eared owls, we can take, thousands and thousands of pictures before we actually have to be able to change the battery. So battery life kind of varies according to what you might be doing with your photography. One of the noticeable differences when you pick up the camera is actually the buttons themselves. They have a much thicker kind of rubbery feel, and it's a really nice feel to them. This weekend we were out photographing short-eared owls and other types of things, and it was very cold, and having our gloves on, having that additional grip on the buttons really made a big difference for us. So that was a really nice feature for us. One of the other things that you can customize, so as always, the Olympus and now OM System cameras allow you to customize all your buttons. Well, the button that you could never customize in the past was actually your trash can button. And it's something that Tom and I never use because we don't delete while we're out in the field. We delete using our computer and kind of calling that way. So it was kind of interesting to us that that button couldn't be reprogrammed. And now you can actually program that to be your menu button. So you can actually go into the menu, you can actually go into the buttons, and you can say use trash can as menu. Well, why would you want to be able to do that? We've actually left the top button as our menu, and we now have that right button. Well, if you're right-handed, having that menu now right at your thumb is really nice. I can use that without even having to pull my eye away from the camera or the eyepiece, and I can go right to that without having to kind of cross over to my camera to get to the menu. There might be a reason why you'd want both of those. Perhaps if I'm on a tripod, and I might want to be able to be using my left hand for that if I'm using my right hand for a trigger release, a cable release, or something along those lines. But it's a nice little feature that comes with that. As always, we have the articulating screen, and this articulating screen really enhances our creativity. It allows me to be able to, when we're light painting, we can actually see what we're light painting during live time or live composite, but I also use it for verticals a lot. So when Tom and I are doing creative type things, we'll actually put our cameras all the way down to the water, being able to flip that out so we don't have to lie on the ground, and we can get these wonderful landscape configurations with wonderful reflections that are in there as well. We'll talk in coming videos about some of the things that you can do with these buttons, how you might want to be able to configure this, as well as how you might want to be able to configure the LFN button if you have a lens that has that particular button on there, and perhaps what you might want to do with your custom modes, the C1, 2, 3, 4 that's on the top.